No, Mary Jo, explain to me now. Is it Mary Jo or Marie Jo?
It doesn't matter. I think the first pronunciation may be a bit better, but it's fine. I get pronunciations in so many ways.
You're like myself. My second name is Melampi, and people in Ireland particularly don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Eskimos pronouncing it, but with my own people. And what's your second name then? Is it Shaheen or Shaheen?
Shah.
Actually, you surprised me. You pronounced it very well. Yeah, Shaheen.
Shaheen, oh, that's good.
I'll tell you something, Mary Jo. I forewarned Ted, as I got it completely wrong the first time I tried to pronounce it. I thought I'd let Ted into the secret.
Well, to be quite honest, Omar, I never remember that secret. I can't even remember.
Good.
Amazing.
Okay, so we're now live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Was nobody watching, but you never know. Somebody might. Well, we normally get 2 or 3 people listening, but who knows? We'll see. They don't have to all rush in at once. Well, we might. Oh, I was going to say we might go straight back into it, but I'm not actually ready yet. I've done all the preparation except get Audacity ready to go.
Marco, how is the weather?
What's
The weather? In Lebanon, it's getting a bit colder now. Autumn, but it's still acceptable, not too cold. Yeah.
Do you get snow in the mountains?
Yeah, we do. I'm living now in the city near the capital Beirut, so I never actually saw snow coming down. I really want to see snow coming down. I've never seen any snow. I've seen snow, but not coming down as it is. But in the mountains, yeah, there's a lot of snow. We do ski in the winter.
2020, 11, what's tomorrow? 20th. Gosh, doesn't time fly?
Ready for some kind of, she likes absolutely everything in the right place.
Now, Paul, your audio has suddenly gone to pot. You've gone very woolly.
My audio's gone to pot. Okay, you better do the show without me then.
Well, it was fine just now. I don't know what's happened. What's different?
I don't know. I'm going to test my microphone is saying that the input level is good.
Yeah, you sound okay, Paul.
It's better now, but it's I don't know, it's got a lot. It's lost its upper registers somehow.
You cannot hear.
Very deep and boomy.
Mary Jo, you can see and you can hear that we're setting up at the moment, and you're going to be an observer for the first segment. So we'll do what we normally do, and then I'll introduce you on the second segment, and we'll do our interview, and then we'll let that spill over into the third segment, because your story is very interesting, and that's what we want to tease out in that part. We'll ask you the 5 questions in the first part just to get you into a trance and a relaxed mode. Okay?
Sure.
In the second part, Ted, not the first.
In the third part.
No, in the second part will be the interview with you, Mary Jo. Yeah. In the third part, we'll continue the discussion, but in a more general subject about Lebanon and the issues that you have. And then in the fourth part, we have something completely different. But you'll be able to chip in and join in, because it's going to be maybe a little bit of fun. I'm not sure. Haven't decided quite how I'm going to play it.
How much time do you have available?
I have 2 hours, a
Oh,
bit
That's
less.
great.
That's
That's
fine.
A bit
fantastic.
less.
That's fine.
Until 7 my time, so I guess until 5 your time.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's about our normal time. So that's
Well, if
good.
you're still here in 2 hours, Mary Jo, you'll be here on your own, I'd say.
Yeah,
You'll be running your own show.
I have to leave at 4:45, no matter what happens.
Okay.
Okay. Right, Ted, are you ready? Because
I'm ready, Moira.
it looks like I am too, which is quite surprising. But there we are. These things happen. Now, what have I done? Moira, you get this wrong every time.
Can I get a cup of tea, Moira, while you're setting up?
Yeah, I'm ready. Well, I'm ready to go, literally.
Then let's go.
3,
Yeah,
2.
Paul, bring back a cup of tea for Mary Jo and for Ted as well, if you don't mind.
No, I won't go if we're ready to start.
Silence, s'il vous plaît. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters, listeners and friends. You're very welcome to the Talk Show for Talkers on irishtalkers.com. Our email address is info@irishtalkers.com. You can also find us on Facebook as the Talk Show for Talkers. And we always look forward to your comments, your questions, feedback. Indeed, we regard it as evaluations. So please contact us if you have anything to let us know about. You can also listen to previous shows on our website, irishtalkers.com. And we also publish the Public Speaking Weekly. This is a roundup of links from the internet, all about Toastmasters, public speaking, confidence, leadership, contests, humorous speech, table topics, chief judge, contest chair. Anything you want to know about Toastmasters, we touch on it in our newspaper link. My name is Ted Melampi, and I'm joined again this week by the prolific, persuasive, passionate Paul O'Mahony.
Well, listeners, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to be with you again this week.
Thank you, Paul. And of course, we also have the mercurial, multifaceted, multitasking, mindful, motivating Moira O'Brien.
Now, you had me with that pause there, Ted. But it gave me the opportunity to think about how I was going to respond to you, being the pecuniary... no, sorry, that's Paul, isn't it?
I'm the tactical.
The tenacious and tactical, tautological Ted.
Ooh, thank you very much, Moira. Last week I was tangible. Well done. Thank you, Moira. And this week, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters and friends, we will have our usual, if you can call eclectic usual, because eclectic is the complete opposite to usual, I think. So we will have a thought for the week. We will have a word for the week. In our second segment, have we got a surprise for you? We have a very, very special guest. And I'm just after getting thumbs up from that special guest. And I'm going to do something now that we have never, ever done on this show before. We have never mentioned in the first segment who we're going to have in the second segment. In fact, we usedn't even give the gender. But I'm going to tell you today, because I said this person is a very special guest. This is a lady, her name is Moira O'Brien. And she is coming all the way in from the Lebanon. So you're going to be with us tomorrow to listen to some of the nuggets and the pearls of wisdom that Moira is going to share with us. So I think I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. I'm going to give you my thought for the week. It's short and sweet. It's something that was given to us by Jim Rohan. I hope you're all familiar with that gentleman, Jim Rohan. I think he studied under one of the thought gurus back in the day. His name escapes me now. I had it for a second, and now it's after disappearing. But what Jim Rohn says to us anyway is, wherever you are, be there. Wherever you are, be there. So on this show, we like to give 100% concentration to what we're talking about. And I think that's good advice. What would you think, Paul and Moira?
Well, I'm a bit confused, Ted, to be honest with you, because I'm here, so how can I be there?
I like it, Moira. I like it. That's what you call you're mixing metaphors.
Somewhat, yes. But I have to say, I don't really understand it. So, if I'm going to be here,
well, basically, if I'm
there.
speaking to you, Moira, I should be giving you full concentration and attention.
I'm with you, Ted. I'm with you. Now I understand. You see, I'm simple-minded in my old age, Ted. Being so.
And what about in your younger age?
In my younger age, I was just stupid. Now, now I'm simple-minded.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that, Moira, and thousands would agree with me on that. Paul, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad, Ted, for the opportunity to come back to the topic. The point is, I think, here that it's highly unlikely that I am here. And the reason is that while I'm here talking with you all, and I'm looking forward to doing that, from time to time, other things flash through my mind. Memories of what you were like last week in comparison with what you're like this week, memories of previous conversations about the Lebanon, memories of what Moira was doing 10 minutes ago. So I'm not fully here. And I think Jim Rohn is encouraging people to be in the place where they are. And I think you rightly call it to pay attention. But I think Jim Rohn is talking about a degree of attention which is subject to the notion of continuous improvement, because it is very unlikely you're going to meet anyone in your normal travels around society who is ever going to be with you to the exclusion of everything else. Nearly everybody has something else on their mind, and that's the challenge that every single speaker faces, which is, how can I get people to be here today, now? And it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's great advice for Toastmasters, or being a member of Toastmasters, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Be in the moment. Don't be living in the past, and don't be trying to project to the future. Be in the moment.
Well, being in the moment is something that is very much, promoted to Toastmasters or to any person who is giving any sort of speech as being a way to be more authentic.
It's a terrible cliche. It's a terrible cliche that's used all the time. It's become so common that definitely you should never mention it in a speech. And there've got to be 7 or 8 better ways of talking about being in the so-called moment, because it doesn't really clarify what it means.
No.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much. I mean, Toastmasters are in audiences. And the tricky part when you're in a club is, how on earth can I get any of these people to pay any attention to me? Because half of them are thinking about Manchester United and Liverpool, and the other half are thinking about, it's my turn to speak next. What am I going to say? Or how am I going to do this? And will that person in front of me please move their head out of the way? And they'd stop putting things in the chat. That is normal.
True. Well, what was he speaking about? Was he touching on mindfulness?
Well, that's what the whole challenge in mindfulness is. It's to actually be able to focus and notice. But mindfulness is not so much about being exactly in the moment. It's all about noticing what's coming through your head, what feelings you're having, what imaginations you're having, and seeing them go past you as if they were floss on the top of a river.
Now, that's nice, floss on top of a river. What the thought that came to my mind is out for an early morning walk and looking at or seeing the cobwebs on the bushes when they're kind of frosted, when you can really see cobwebs.
Now, Ted,
The architecture.
Ted, I think that is a clarion call for us to think about what might be coming in the word of the week.
Yes,
Paul?
I think it is, Moira.
Can we hear your word?
Moira, you specialize in segues. Absolutely fantastic there. Yes, the word of the week, listeners, is clarion. So let me first of all spell it for you. CLARION. There used to be a hotel in Cork called the Clarion. Anyway, it's called clarion. And it's a medieval trumpet. A medieval trumpet with clear, shrill tones, not an instrument that we find very often in modern orchestras, but it is a trumpet, and it's a noun. And it's also can be and it's a sound of, and it's also can be and it's a sound. Could somebody mute that person who
Yeah,
just...
that's a strange. It was me. I'll edit that out. But it's. I looked at the stream as for some reason or other, and I haven't got to the bottom of this. When you try and look at the actual stream online, it's you get this feedback, and I can't
Carry
get rid
on.
of it. Anyway, back to you, Paul.
I don't know where I am. You
Okay,
need to-
I'll stop and replay.
You're
Where,
there, Paul. Wherever you are, be there.
yes. So I'll delete that anyway now. Let me go back and hear.
Clarion. Anyway, it's called clarion, and it's a medieval trumpet. A medieval trumpet with clear, shrill tones, not an instrument that we find very often in modern orchestras, but it is a trumpet, and it's a noun. And it's also can be...
Okay, and it can also be, so if you go from there.
And it's also...
So it's a trumpet, but it can also be. Can you pick it up from there?
Can.
Okay. Sorry about that. I won't do that again. I was going to share the link with you, but I think if anybody puts the link up, they'll probably get the same problem. We never used to have it, but yeah.
Okay, call me in.
Yep. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
No, I need the words before.
Sorry. I didn't understand that. You need the words before. Well, the words before, I thought you had heard.
Instrument that we find very often in modern orchestras, but it is a trumpet, and it's a noun.
Okay, so after it's a trumpet, it's a noun. You then go on, you say it's also something else. Yeah?
Yeah, count me in.
3, 2, 1, go.
An adjective.
Sorry, you have to say it's also. That's your starting word. It's also an adjective. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go.
It's also an adjective. And it's much more useful to you listeners as an adjective, because unless you're a musician, you're hardly likely to be looking for a medieval instrument, or unless you're a curator in a museum. So let's assume you're neither a curator of musical instruments. So it's an adjective. And it's a word which you wouldn't come across unless you were a pretty fluent speaker of English, because it has many meanings. And the cliche is that somebody, gave a clarion call to action, which of course means a clear, shrill, pungent call to action, loud and clear. And it has the notion of brilliance, clarion. So it's not just any old loudness and clarity, it's brilliant, because it has to do with, as we said, shrill notes, which tend to be, shrill tones rather, it tend to be top notes, high top notes. So they're not bass notes, they're top notes. So when somebody speaks in that way, best to use it exactly. And here's a little phrase that was used earlier this year. Out of the din, out of the fog, out of the noise, here's a heads up, a clarion call, a positive moment to note. So it's something that's striking. Just imagine a bell, one of these bells in a cathedral, being struck, a high-pitched bell. So that'll give you an idea. Now, let me ask you both a question, guys. When do you think this word entered the English language? Ted, when did it enter the English language? Clarion.
15th century, I'd say.
Wrong.
I would say Shakespeare. I would say around Shakespeare's time, which is what? Wrong. Okay.
I love saying wrong because it's not an evaluative word. It's basically a judgmental word, isn't it? 14th century word. In terms of its use, and medieval was the clue because it's a medieval bell, therefore it had to be used back in medieval times. So it's a 14th century word, but the clarion call to action came into the English language at the start of the 19th century. Now, you may or may not be interested in using the word. And if you are interested in using the word, you might want to know a few other words that are closely related to it. You might want to come up with a synonym. Any suggestions, guys, on what might be a synonym for the word?
Saxophone.
Oh, that's a good joke.
Cornet.
Joke. A bell. A synonym for the adjective. Let's take it for an adjective. What would be?
Clarion.
Yeah, a clarion call.
Yeah.
So a loud call, a vociferous call.
Oh, yes. Well,
an angelic call.
Sonorous.
Sonorous, that's a good one.
Sonorous is nice.
Piercing, resounding, clangorous. Now there's one, clangorous. Ear splitting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
like
the reason I said angelic is that I have seen pictures of angels with the clarion as a trumpet and they're using it. In fact, on top of St. Finbarr's Cathedral in Cork, there are angels up there on top at the entrance, up over the entrance with the clarions. So,
very good. Ted, you work for the tourist board. There are lots of people coming to Cork to see those angels.
Yes, that's true.
I think we've had enough of a clarion call today. What do you think, guys?
I think we should.
I think so, yeah.
I think we should put out a call for the next segment, which is going to come up in 24 hours' time, less 15 minutes or so, give or take. And at that time, we will be introducing our next and most important guest, who is going to be joining us from the Lebanon. We'll see you then.
Is that a question or a statement there, Moira?
I left it hanging.
Yeah, but I was after telling people on the first segment.
Yes, but you didn't actually say who she was or what she was.
I think you have about 16 minutes there, Moira.
No, it was about 14 and a half. But I could,
14.
when I've cut out the pauses, it'll come down to about 13.
Okay, that's not bad. So, Mary Jo, you can see the kind of problems that we have are where the time is taken up when you're recording the show. And when you listen to the show, then you hear nothing of all that stuff because Maura does her magic and edits it all out, you know.
And you don't have any ums and ers and you knows and likes and so's and ands. I was thinking of doing a segment on verbal pauses. But I thought, well, I can't actually fill up 12 minutes of ums and ers and you knows and whats and likes and all that crap.
Mary Jo, you're getting the inside track here now. When you're listening to this now, whether you listen to it Friday afternoon or when you listen to the 4 days of it, if you have the time to come back in, well, you'll have to listen to it Saturday to listen to your own contribution with the specific questions of Toastmasters.
Now, whilst we are
involved in the third and the fourth segment, but you'll be hearing things, you'll be saying, God, there was something else before that, but I can remember some kind of an interjection by Paul there, but we didn't hear that at all today.
Now, whilst we are off podcast, but still on air, I'd like to say hello to a very special person who is watching our stream from the Lebanon, and it's Mr. Kareem Kahalik. Kareem,
Very
you're
good.
very welcome to the stream, and I'm glad to see you here.
Well done, Mary Jo. You've already sent out the clarion call to your fellow guests and Toastmasters.
Of course.
Well done.
Well done. You have influence. You definitely have influence.
Okay, let's get back to the show.
You're muted, Paul.
Actually, before we do, I forgot I have to do some housekeeping.
Mary Jo, how did she know, Moira, you don't need to say anything. Mary Jo, how did Moira know the person's name?
He said hello on the stream, I
YouTube.
think.
Yeah, exactly that.
It's somebody you know, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we've,
He's also a guest
yes,
with
he
us
has
for
been-
Firebirds.
He has been a
Yes.
guest of Firebirds.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
He's my mentee.
So, Mary Jo, you'll have to make sure all the members of Firebirds know that you're going to be on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
I will. Firebirds
to-
and my home club and yes.
Well done. You'll have to get that clarion out again and send out the message.
Okay, Ted.
Okay, Moira.
Let's get back to the business, and let me get correct up. We go back to Ted. Okay, so Ted, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, Toastmasters, to this part of the talk show for talkers, the most important part, irrespective of what Paul thinks. But this is a very special presentation that we have today, because we have that lady that I spoke of yesterday, Mary Jo Shaheen, all the way from the Lebanon. Mary Jo, it's a pleasure to have you on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
It's an honor for us too to have you here with us. And I'm looking forward to this chat that we're going to have. And Mary Jo, what it is actually, it's 5 questions, but by the time I get through the 5 questions, I'll probably ask you about 20 questions. So this is just to hypnotize you into not knowing exactly where the 5 questions are. And we've asked, or at least I've had the pleasure of asking these questions of international presidents, even of Dan Rex, when we had the pleasure of his company on the show. And he still doesn't know what the 5 questions were, because it was a complete show I did on Dan Rex that time. So I'm going to delve into this with you, Mary Jo. And this is the first question, all jokes aside. So what brought you to Toastmasters?
Okay, what brought me to Toastmasters? It was around 3 years ago, and this will be unexpected. What brought me to Toastmasters is astronomy. I know it's not a regular answer. Let me tell you the story about that. So since I was very young, I was passionate about astronomy, and then I went to university to study engineering, and I decided to open my small community, an astronomy club with some friends. And a lot of people joined in and excited about activities and potential meetings to discuss everything. And I had to lead those meetings as the founder of this community. And the first time I went on like the classroom on stage in front of these around 20, 30 people, and I could not say a single word correctly. The letters jumbled together. I was so nervous, although it was a subject I was really passionate about. So from that day on, I thought I have so much ideas I wanted to share, and I want to learn to share them correctly and to lead properly. And that's how I researched online. I found Toastmasters and found that we have in Lebanon 4 clubs. And I joined my local club, and that's how I got here. And I've been hooked ever since my very first.
Brilliant. And you know, that ties in lovely, actually, because what's the connection between, if there is one, between astrology and astronomy?
Oh, that's like a critical question there. In our community, it's a very sensitive topic, because astrology is the horoscopes, and you know, when you see your horoscopes in the daily news or the daily journals, and it's just speculation. It's not really science. Some people say it's based on science, but it's not really. I could talk for hours about that, and I
Yeah,
know
I
you
know.
have
Yeah,
more
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
So, and astronomy is based on science, and scientists study it, movements of the stars and the celestial objects. So it's quite different, and we could do another entire interview on that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you were definitely telling us the truth when you said you're passionate about astronomy. It's coming over. We can see it. We can feel it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Your passion is projected onto the screen. Well done. And what has been the greatest benefit to you? So even though I know the answer now already, what has been the greatest benefit to you of having
Oh.
joined Toastmasters?
Wow, I cannot even start to tell you about the benefits. Though so many, I don't think there's one thing that I benefited the most. Like first of all, I can see the difference between my icebreaker and the last speech I gave from Pathways, and it's such a huge difference. So I grew as a speaker, also as a leader. I'm now the vice president of membership of a newly chartered club. Yeah, and I grew so much my network. Also, it's something that is sometimes underestimated, the way you meet new people from your country and beyond. Like I'm now meeting with 3 Irish Toastmasters. I could not have expected that a few years ago. So yeah, so many benefits that I could also talk hours about that.
Interesting. And Mary Jo, would you think that had we not had COVID, that you may not have met some of those people, particularly internationally?
Yeah, I don't think I would have even considered joining global clubs if it wasn't for COVID. I never thought of it. Like we began to stay at home and quarantine, I started to think I'm also passionate about language learning. I love to learn languages, and I started to think, why can't I benefit from Toastmasters to advance my Spanish a bit? So I started
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Google clubs in Spanish, and I joined some Mexican clubs, some Spanish clubs, made some new friends. I started to practice with. So yeah, I would have never imagined that at the beginning. And one meeting led to another, and I have a list of 20 clubs internationally that I visited since the start of the quarantine, and joining one of them, Firebirds, as well. So yeah, I would have
Yeah,
never imagined that a year ago.
yeah, that's fantastic. And what is the name of your club in the Lebanon?
I'm part of two clubs. One of them, the first one I joined, the Protost Lebanon, and the second one we've chartered recently, the one I'm vice president of membership of, is Mercury Toastmasters. I'm really proud of.
Oh, that's a nice one,
It.
particularly if you're into astronomy. Mercury Toastmaster, that's lovely. For
And that's not
Quicksilver.
me who named it. I
Yeah,
did not name it, but it just happened by chance that I
yeah, that's
joined it and
incredible.
discovered that the name was Mercury. It's like a sign pushing me to join.
Yeah, actually interesting. We had our Division A humorous speech contest last Sunday, and one of the speeches there was called. Let me see now. It was the Latin. It was Alan Rees gave the speech. It was in Latin. It was all about characters who take on the name or they're given the name of the type of industry or job that they're in,
Yes, I did attend this.
which I thought
I
was very interesting. And it reminded me of, in Ireland, when we have Christmas, it's traditionally that we'd have a turkey for Christmas. But I can remember, it was many years ago, but I won a turkey in a golf competition. And instead of getting the turkey, I got a voucher. And do you know what the name of the man was where I was supposed to go to collect the turkey? This was the turkey breeder. His name was John Swan. John Swan. So I thought it was interesting. And Alan's speech last week touched on about the dentists, and some fellow was called Miss Dentist Molar. And it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting. So what has been in your 3 years as a Toastmaster? What has been your biggest Toastmasters challenge?
Oh, I think this challenge, I don't think you will find anyone having had maybe this much of a challenge in the past year, especially. So we've been chartering. I think the biggest challenge we've had is chartering our new club in the absolute worst conditions ever. So the inflation, the membership fees have are like 5 times more expensive. The revolutions before COVID, our venue was right in the middle of Beirut, where we had a lot of revolutions because people were fighting corruption and getting on the street. So it was a bit difficult to reach our venue, and it's a new club that hasn't been chartered yet. So imagine trying to charter, and every week we had someone interested, and we were so near the 20 members limit, and then COVID happened, and I'm like, seriously, is this is this meant to be? But yeah, we took COVID to our advantage, and we started inviting people from all around to the world to attend our meetings, and we eventually chartered in the midst of COVID. And it
Well
was
done.
the proudest moment. I gave a
Yeah,
speech
well
about
done.
it at the Firebirds. I'm not sure if Paul or Moira were there
Yeah,
at
well
the
done.
time. But
And
yeah,
that
it was the best time.
that certainly was a challenge. And what you mentioned there is very interesting because of inflation and uh, political strife and turmoil. And that's something we're going to develop in the third segment, which I think is an incredible story as well. And I think Toastmasters need to hear that story for obvious reasons, you know. But if you could, what would you change about Toastmasters?
About Toastmasters, so maybe making it a bit more inclusive. Like someone mentioned in one of the meetings, business meetings, with the Toastmasters board, that they should start to accept payments in different currencies. I know that this would be challenging, but it would be way more easy to many other countries to be able to pay, as well as enable, like at least enable the members to pay. Right now, I am obliged to pay for the potential members, and they need to pay me back. And this process is a bit complicated. Or I need to like have a phone call with the potential members so that I can input their credit card numbers. I mean, some people also worry about the safety of their financial information.
Yeah, good
So I
point.
think the most important thing is to make a payment available for all members from their account, not only from club officers.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic suggestion because these are things that sometimes at the hierarchy don't even think about. That, you know, it's easy to say, let's pay in dollars, but it depends on what country you're in to be able to get the dollars, number one. And number two, then the value of the dollar against the value of your own currency can be vastly different.
Yeah, I know. It can be a bit challenging because what would they do with the currency of my country? I would understand it would be a bit challenging maybe for now, but at least enable members to pay on their own so that it can be facilitated. This is one thing that I think can be easily done, at least for now.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. And what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters, even though I can probably answer that for you as well?
There are so many things that keep me coming. For one, there's so many opportunities for growth. I still want to start my second pathway. I want to start participating in the contest. But the thing that is exciting me the most now is giving back to my community. I'm now mentoring 5 mentees, and I'm pushing them to do the best they can, and especially seeing how much I grew in the past 2-3 years. I want to see in them the same growth that I saw in myself, and this is something that gives me so much pleasure, seeing them grow as I did. So I will keep coming back as long as I can give back to my community.
Said like a true Toastmaster. Said like a true Toastmaster. Wonderful. Mary Jo, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and interviewing you for the talk show for talkers. And I know you're going to stay with us for the next segment and the segment after that. So we look forward to further discussions on this show with you, Mary Jo. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Well done, everyone. That was good.
Well done, Mary Jo. That was lovely.
Thank you.
So,
Sometimes, you know, we as Toastmasters take so much for granted. And when we listen to your story there, some of the struggles and the strife that you have, you know.
Just to go back, Mary Jo, mentoring 5 people.
I know.
That's
The trouble is, the trouble is that in our club we don't have too many experienced Toastmasters, so they're all new, and we're struggling to find mentors. So every time I'm trying to like find someone, and then I mentor them myself, because like I know there are people more experienced than me, but I know how to push people to reach their potential. So I'm enjoying seeing that in myself.
Yeah,
And,
well done. You'll have little clones of yourself all over the place. You won't be able to win a contest because they'll all be better than you. Do you know the way the pupil
They already
passes out the
are.
teacher?
They already are. You can see
Yeah,
Kareem.
yeah.
I think he's watching us now, so he's
Yeah.
excelling in
Well done.
evaluations, for example.
Paul is
Yeah.
trying to get in there.
Yeah,
He's muted though, so
Oh yeah, you'll be
we
back
can't
in
hear
5.
him.
You're muted, Paul.
Be back in a couple of minutes, okay?
Okay, we'll wait for you.
We'll wait for you, Paul. Yeah.
I'm doing things in the background, so.
So, Mary Jo, you're a member of 2 clubs in the Lebanon, so you're involved with 50% of the club. So
We're now 5 clubs. Like when
no,
I
you
joined,
said
there
4
were
clubs,
4.
is it?
When I joined, there were 4, but I had chartered the 5th one.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that, sure. Yeah, that's brilliant. And what district are you in?
District 105. We are Lebanon, Jordan, UAE, and Oman.
Right. And would you get people from those from the district to act as some of your mentors?
We can try, but it's way more effective when it's someone that is actually the member of the club and can attend and see the progress of everyone.
Good point. That's the way it's supposed to be too. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because not only the district, we had some members have mentors from other clubs, from our own country, and they're active and they're helping out, but they can't always be available to attend 2 club meetings and see their mentees. And so we try as much as we can to include mentors from our own club.
Right, okay. And you make a good point there, that it's important that you're in the same club so you can see the progress that they make. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, well done. Fantastic. A neighbour, a very good friend of mine, actually is an Irish soldier, but he's retired now. But he spent many trips in the Lebanon, and he always had lovely things to say about the Lebanese people.
Yeah.
And even though they were there under unusual circumstances, they certainly weren't out there on a holiday, as you probably know. It could have been dangerous at times for them, but
we've gone through some very difficult times, but we're a resilient population.
Yeah, well done. Yeah. You must be resilient, yeah, because it seems to be never ending, isn't it? It seems to be never ending, some of the political problems and
they are. Yeah, it's big problems, although it's not nearly similar to war. What our parents went through is way more horrible.
That's true.
Yeah, but still, it's like a lot of poverty and this explosion that happened. A lot of people are traumatized from it. So we will talk about it during the segment, I guess.
Yes, said all right, yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're doing very important work out there, setting up these Toastmasters clubs. You're giving people that little bit of hope, because it's the self-development that people do in Toastmasters must be good for the rest of the world as well.
I know, yeah. I hope I'm doing, I hope
it's you are. You certainly are. Well done.
So, where's Paul?
So what's the time difference like, Mary Jo? It's 10 to 4 here now.
Now it's 6, nearly 6.
Nearly 6, so you're 2 hours ahead of us. So
2 hours.
Yeah. It's not too bad. So
Yeah, it's fine.
That's not too bad, yeah.
Where is Paul? Come on, Paul. Come
so
back.
So that picture behind Moira is a castle up along the west of Ireland. It's called Drumoland.
That's my ancestors' ancestral home.
I should put something from Lebanon as well.
I have a number of my ancestral homes in my backgrounds. This is another one. This is a much older
that's
one.
That's a lovely one.
This is
Mary Jo, that you have there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I like the way you segued into that there. You'll have to tell me how to do that, Mary Jo. How did you do that now? Just pulled up a photograph, is it?
You know how to
Yeah,
do
it's a
that, Ted.
virtual background. Yeah.
Oh
Just
yeah,
a-
but you have it as a virtual background, so I just can't go through my photograph album and.
Yeah. All
Oh, was
these,
that it? Yeah, I
yeah.
must
All
have
these
it. Yeah, I must
yeah.
try that. I must get one of Blarney Castle.
All these things
Yeah, it
that
depends on your laptop. Sometimes it doesn't work.
yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you need to have a desktop, unfortunately. Um,
Oh,
do
look
I
at that
have,
one. That's a nice one
do
there.
I have another one?
Yeah, I'm saying which one is
Yeah,
Those
that's
are
nice.
from Beirut.
Oh, this is another one. This is in Malta. That's my grandfather's house in Malta.
Oh.
Which one is the house, Mara? Because there's a whole block of houses
It's
there.
the
I'm
it's
the only
the
one now who hasn't got a
it's
virtual
the
background.
it's the middle bit, Ted. It's the middle bit. So
The middle bit. Oh, very
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
yeah, yeah. Indeed, I should be streaming this, shouldn't I? But there we are. There's my for the stream. You can see my grandfather's house, my grandpappy.
Mary Jo, that's a lovely background you have there. I could dive in there.
And here's the last one of the three.
Gorgeous. Look at the colour of the sea.
That's Bunratty Castle, which is in County
Is it in
Clare.
Ireland?
Is that one of your ancestral homes too, Myra?
Bunratty Castle, yes, not my branch of the O'Briens, but they were very closely connected. I'm not 100% clear on the history there. I have to look it up. But when they abandoned that castle or sold it on in 1700, they then moved into 1500, not 1700. They moved to Dromoland, but Dromoland was considerably smaller at that time. Anyway, no, sorry, 1712. I get this confused. 1712, yeah. I knew it was around 1700 they moved.
Well, thank goodness. Was that Thursday afternoon, Moira, or Friday? I can't quite remember.
Well, Paul,
in the 1712.
I wasn't actually born then, but I'll go and ask my my father, who hopefully is up there and not down there. No, of course he's not down there because he was a nice man. He was a lovely man. Anyway, we digress. Are we ready to go on to part 3? What are we going to call this part?
Part 3. This
Part
is
3.
Paul's. In part 3, Mary Jo, Paul usually comes up with a topic and he educates us, but he's going to be having a chat with you now just to develop what you were telling us there during the 5 questions about the kind of problems that you have with the clubs in the Lebanon from the point of view of paying and stuff like that. So I think Toastmasters need to hear that story too.
Yeah.
Ted, do you mean that you're suggesting that I should take the lead in this conversation?
Well, I don't mind. I can certainly start the interview again and you'll come in and ask your questions because you're Division A director and I know that you had a lot of interest in Mary Jo's story, you know.
Okay, just take it away then. Take it away.
Okay, so I will introduce you then, Paul, as is our wont.
Yeah.
Or something.
Introduce Ted, yeah, to start it off.
Introduce Ted.
Yeah, introduce. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. If you're going to lead, Paul.
No, he said he's not going to lead. He's
not going to lead. Oh, okay, fair enough. That's fine. I misunderstood.
No worries.
Hello, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters listeners and friends. You're very welcome to part 3 of this week's Talk Show for Talkers here on irishtalkers.com. As always, I'd like to remind you that we're on Facebook as the Talk Show for Talkers. Our website is irishtalkers.com and you can email us. Yes, you can. And we love it when we get emails at info@irishtalkers.com. Normally at this time of the week, I'm introducing Mr. Paul O'Mahony. I would love to do so again, except that we're going to have a little bit of a change because our guest from yesterday, Mary Jo Shaheen, is still with us and she has some interesting stories to share with us about that little country of Lebanon. So, Ted, will you take it away?
Yes, thank you, Moira. And we're very fortunate on the talk show for talkers. We have this wonderful guest, and we're at enormous expense. We've got her to stay on for the next 2 segments as well. And Mary Jo is going, well, she touched on it yesterday when you were with us, Toastmasters, and she was telling us about problems that she has with some of the clubs in her area that we would not even contemplate, such as inflation and what that means for members of the club. In actual fact, it costs them 5 times as much to join Toastmasters than it does for those of us who are in this side of the world, which would be District 71. So, Mary Jo, what we'll do is we'll have a chat about that, because I think that's a very interesting story, and you can take it up there and just give us some insight into the problems that you have as a Toastmaster and as an organizer for Toastmasters in the Lebanon.
Yes, sure, Ted. Okay, so do you want me to start with our problems?
Yeah, even
from
that,
last year?
even that, the difficulty due to the inflation and the fact that you have to pay Toastmasters in dollars, what the kind of problems that you come up against because of that?
Well, there are so many problems. If I want to start from the beginning of it, I could start from last year when we started to launch our newest club, Mercury Toastmasters. So we started around July of last year, 2019, and we were going strong, nearing this 20 members limit we have to reach to charter a club. And then on October, more specifically 17 October 2019, the revolution exploded, if you want. The revolution started and the roads started to close because of people being mad on the streets. So and our location was a bit critical because it was near the central bank of Lebanon. So a lot of road closures were on this way. We started canceling some meetings. Some meetings people could not make it because they were scared of the situation. So before starting, like at this point, we were starting with the inflation bit by bit, and but aside from that, some people were getting scared, demotivated. Toastmasters was not their priority at that point, and then inflation started to grow, and the membership was starting to get a bit expensive, and then COVID started, and at this point, I calculated it, and the inflation right now, before a dollar was equal to 1,505 Lebanese pounds. That's what you would see if you researched it. But right now in the black market, $1 would mean 8,500. So it's 5 times more expensive. And if you calculated now the Toastmasters fees, the $45 fee would be around $250 in regarding inflation. So it's very difficult to find dollars, and not many people are able to join. So yeah, and it's also difficult to find dollars in the market in order to pay. The limits on the cards, everyone who had dollar cards previously, they now have limits to pay internationally. As I was saying the other day, a limit is around $15, so you can't pay more than $15 internationally until you have unless you have a fresh dollars account. So it's very challenging for so many members. Now we're trying to overcome this. Some of our members do have fresh dollars account, and we're trying to overcome and pay, and we are getting some help now. There is potential help maybe coming from the district. We're still in discussions for that. But yeah, it's really challenging. Despite everything, we're doing good. A lot of people are motivated to attend and develop their skills. Now, to tell you the truth, and maybe I'm not sure if this should go on air, but we are running without without being in good standing. I guess that's the right term. Yeah,
Yes,
we don't have 8 members currently registered, so we're running as a regular club, and everyone is taking roles and everything until we can figure out what we can do. Maybe we were considering doing contests on the local level, because if members are not paid, they can't go to the area and division level. So we have a lot of potential plans made up, and yeah, we're a resilient population here.
Yes,
We've been struggling,
definitely.
but
Yeah,
trying
definitely.
our best.
You're definitely resilient. I mean, when we talk about problems for Toastmasters, we're talking about minute, simple things like, for instance, contest chairs and chief judges and trying to get
We
judges.
have these. We also have these problems.
Yeah, but they're only tiny problems in comparison to what you were explaining. Paul, go ahead, my man.
Mary Jo, I'm really struck by what you have to say about how much it costs and how difficult it is to pay, and how it must be really difficult to get any club to be in good standing in the Lebanon. And I'd like to do something. I'd like to do something that would help, because I live in such a privileged position in Ireland where none of these difficulties apply. And $190 a year to be a member of Toastmasters is a relatively small amount of money. It's something like 2 or 3 cups of coffee a month. And it does feel to me that there's such an inequality there. So what I'd like to explore, and I wonder if you have explored this in any way, is whether I in Ireland, maybe others would want to do this too, whether I in Ireland can pay membership for somebody in Lebanon, whether I can pay the annual subscription. From here, there's no difficulty paying Toastmasters International money. I don't think it would be easy for me to transfer money into the Lebanon and the money to come back out of the Lebanon. It seems to me that wouldn't be possible at all.
Well, there wouldn't be any point in that. The simplest thing would be to pay direct, or to enable those funds to be made available to the Lebanon, to somebody in the Lebanon, through the internet, to be able to make that payment, but not to convert it. Not to just to convert into dollars or keep it in dollars.
Yeah, no, Mary Jo, do you know whether it has ever happened before?
I'm not sure if it did happen before, but I had this idea of planning an event. We have so many talented Toastmasters in Lebanon, and actually you would be surprised how many international people, members and DTMs join Mercury Toastmasters, and they are so excited from our meetings and the ambience. So I was thinking maybe we can plan some kind of international event. We would invite people from all around the world and put a link to donation, set a fund, and put a link to donation and tell them about our struggles, and they would attend the event. The event can be free, but anyone who would like to help, and they would see how much we are an excited bunch, we are a motivated population in order, we want to grow, and we do need some help. So in this way, maybe we could start something, and we can handle the funds in the most fair way for the members, cover for those who are finding difficulties. Or maybe later on, another one of our worries is when we get back to the physical meetings, how will we pay for the venues? Now, no venue can give us free access, and a lot of our members really want to practice their skills on a real stage. So this is one concern as well.
Staying with the membership question, this is I mean, if you have to stay online, you have to stay online. And but in terms of membership, do you know, is it possible for somebody in the Lebanon to have a PayPal account?
No, we don't have PayPal. It's not allowed here in Lebanon. I am not sure why. This is why it's also an extra complication to, for example, to pay for Firebirds. I had a lot of struggle. I was able to use at the time my dollars account, but until now, to tell you the truth, I did not pay. I was not able to pay back Lorraine for the Firebirds dues. So this is I do have a good job. I can pay, I can afford it, but in order to send this money, it's a challenge.
Yeah, I can
We
see the difficulty, but there must be a way around this. There must be a way around this. And what I would like to suggest is that we set up a GoFundMe page, and
Yeah, that was what I
let's
was-
worry
yeah.
about how the money can actually be properly used. But you see, there's no problem. It can be paid to Toastmasters International without any problem, so long as the account is held outside of
Yes, that's true.
Lebanon.
Yeah, I think definitely we'll have to put out the clarion call on behalf of Mary Jo and her colleagues in Toastmasters in the Lebanon, even something like adopt a membership or something like that. You know, there must be
Yeah.
some way we can, as
Yeah.
you said, Paul, a GoFundMe, even if Division A, if there was something even came from our division.
Yes.
You know what I think? I shudder when I think of the difficulties of getting a sort of group of people to do it in the first place. I'd like to find out, Moira, do you know for sure that it is possible for somebody in Ireland to pay the membership fee for somebody in another country? You know that for sure?
That can be overcome. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
After the podcast, I'd like to know, because I'd like to do it next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be a little bit of not cheating, but being a little bit devious, but it can be done.
We have to work within the rules, but
Yes,
rules are there.
that's not a
Rules
problem.
can be flexible.
Exactly, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's an issue that we can do.
The procedure which needs to be followed then, I'd love you to write it down so that I can follow it. And Mary Jo, if you can then, in some way, just to start this whole process off and test it out, if you can then decide among yourselves whose membership can be paid. If one person can do it, you see, then, you know, many others can easily do it. I mean, if people in Ireland can easily afford
Right.
100.
Yeah, I know, but we do need to discuss it further, because I did hear somewhere, I think this would be off the record, Moira, if you could advise on that. But I think Toastmasters, I'm not sure about the laws about the members paying for other members. Now, it wouldn't be such a problem, but I'm not sure if it is allowed. Plus, we did hear some news from the district that we might get some help, and I don't want to act before we are sure,
Yes.
because I don't want to put
Yeah.
the district in a bad light, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, of course,
So,
and yourself as well. We have to be careful about how we check out rules and regulations.
Well, there's
I'm
no,
thinking along the
because
lines of
you're-
corporate clubs when the company pays for the member.
yeah,
Well,
There might be some angle there.
Talk Show for Talkers can undertake to research and check out, one, whether it is permitted by Toastmasters International, how it can be done in the most simple way, so that if and when you in the Lebanon want to call on such support,
Yeah.
so you can take it that there will be support from Ireland.
Yeah, that's very good, Paul. That's a good suggestion, I think.
and that is undoubtedly a great clarion call to our Toastmasters members in District 71 and in any district that happens to be listening to this podcast. So then we'll bring this segment to a close, and we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time, when I'm going to be bringing up a subject of, well, impromptu speaking, sort of. We're going to have an impromptu session. Not sure about this. We'll see.
Colorado, those of you who are listening in Colorado, we hope you will pay attention to today's conversation.
Bye for now.
Mary Jo, we have quite a listenership in Toastmasters International headquarters. At least we think that's where it is.
Yeah, we have a lot
Wow.
of listeners in America, yeah.
We're slowly building up. the number
But
of listeners.
there is no problem in putting a rhetorical question to Toastmasters International without naming a country. And there must be
have to ask
there
the
must be
question.
other countries in the world who have similar sort of problems. So
I've heard, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the problem from China. China is banning all US products, and they are
yes,
banning Toastmasters clubs. So
Yeah.
when I
we
learned that,
heard
I thought, oh my God, there
Yeah.
are weird
Yeah.
problems in the world.
now,
So
Paul,
yeah,
There are.
Paul,
Same.
Actually,
Paul-
Mary Jo, my daughter worked in China.
Paul, I can see
She
you.
worked in China for 4 years.
Can we have some hush, please? Paul, I've seen you mouthing, but not hearing you. Have you actually been speaking, or were you literally just mouthing?
No, I wasn't mouthing at all. My sound must have gone up. Anyway, if you can have a recording, you can delete me.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Your sound is okay now. I can hear you. Maybe when other people were talking.
Ted, have you had the same experience of me losing me speaking?
Yeah, I could see you chatting there, and I thought you were muted, but you actually weren't muted.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, leave it, guys. You can.
It's something small. It's dropping in, dropping out. Excuse
Yeah.
me for 2 minutes.
Okay. But Paul, I would guess that you do have some sort of issue with your audio, because this is not. It's a different situation to previous issues you've had recently, but you have had other issues recently. So something needs to be. Are you using the internal microphone on your laptop?
The other issues I've had recently were totally to do with Bluetooth, and they were that on my laptop it was Bluetooth enabled, and I wear Bluetooth.
Headphones. Hearing aids. Yes. Now, Paul, what's happening is that when somebody else is talking, we don't hear you. So that's good, but it does mean that if you want to interrupt, you can't.
About me, my contributions don't matter.
Of course they do. Don't be silly.
No, but seriously. The good thing about this conversations that we've just had is that I now know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't need to go to Toastmasters International, you see. I wouldn't think it's a big enough issue to go to them, because you can go to the Toastmasters International Facebook page, and that place is full of people who know everything.
True. Okay. Yep.
And in fact, I'm going to go there straight away.
Interesting.
You know, Paul, is it now live streaming? I'm not sure, but it's not part
we are
of
live streaming until such time as I tell you that we are not live streaming.
Okay, but it's fine. But I don't think many people will be watching this. But we did receive some good news, not officially, that Toastmasters will be helping our area, which gave us a lot of we were very happy about it, but we didn't tell our members yet. So that's why I don't want to be too public about it.
Okay. Well,
but when we do have the official news, I will tell you. And
okay. Well, Kareem is no longer Kareem is no longer watching, so.
Yeah, he doesn't know as well. So we're not saying anyone in order not to raise hopes, because we're not sure. You never know Toastmasters news, how reliable it is. So we will worry if it does work out. We will worry about memberships in March.
Yeah. I do.
We will do.
I do sympathise with you so far as being a club that is still meeting but doesn't have the 8 members. It's very, very annoying. But it's a rule, and we have to obey rules, sadly. Yeah,
unofficially we do, but it's still
sure.
active, committed members. But it's not $45 difference.
Yeah, I know. And there we are. Now I need Ted to be. I was going to say instant, or is it extant? We need Ted. We need Ted here. Because, what I'm thinking of doing, I've got a list here of alternative things that we can do in table topics other than the straightforward ask a question and get an answer. So That's what I'm planning to do, and we could even try some of these out. How about that?
Try it out during the show.
Well, yeah, I thought we might, but I've got quite a few to talk about, so we might actually not have time.
Great. Well, if you're leading the show and you want to throw a table topic of some sort, Moira, you know that Mary Jo and I are only dying to do one.
You're only dying, I know. Yeah. I'll see what, I'll see how it goes. You never know. Oh, dear.
Jo, do you listen to podcasts at all?
Yeah, I do mostly Spanish podcasts in order to improve my Spanish. The Duolingo Spanish podcast is my favorite. I love it. I just love it. Podcast. I did listen to one of your episodes when you told me I would be a guest, so just to get the idea of how it gets done. And yeah, otherwise not too much.
Where did you learn your English?
English at school. I started learning when I was 8, I think.
Okay, because your English is very good, and your accent, whilst you can sort of tell that it's a Middle Eastern accent, but it's very, very mild.
That's great. Yeah, we're told that. I'm glad. Although it's my third language, like I've learned French when I was 3.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's impressive. I'm studying French at the moment. I learned French at school, and I've learned bits of French over the last 40 or 50 years, but I've never been able to speak it properly. So I'm now on day 27, I think, of my Duolingo course.
Yeah, it's a difficult language.
Okay, so let's get back to the action. Now I'm going to have to keep an eye on things here. Paul, I don't know if you saw my note in the chat, but I was getting a bit of desk noise from you.
Okay, I won't.
Just be careful. It wasn't too distracting, and there wasn't too much of it, but
I'll be soundless during this episode.
Well,
unless you call on me.
I will indeed definitely call on you. I'm going to call on you now because you're going to introduce me, as you always do. And you've just muted yourself.
Talk about table topics, yeah?
What?
You can talk about table topics, are you?
The title that I gave this was an impromptu episode. How to spice up your table topic session with different forms of impromptu speaking.
So it is about table topics.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay, I just want to get a lead in. I just want to...
Yeah, I know. That's why I gave you that little...
I can't just say you're wonderful. I have to
why
say
not?
a little... You can tell me when I should go.
Sorry, I just forgot to do a little bit on...
Mary Jo, prepare yourself for table topics. That's what they're trying to tell you.
We might do one if we have time. It's one of these exercises, I'd like to call them. Anyway... okay, Paul, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome to the Talk Show for Talkers today. And we have a very special episode for you today in which all of the speaking is going to be impromptu. In fact, you could call it a long table topic. And it's going to be led by the one and only distinguished Toastmaster, Moira O'Brien, who does not have a script, who is not got a prepared speech. She's going to do this whole thing off the top of her head. Moira O'Brien.
Well, I have to admit that I do have a little prompt sheet in front of me because whilst I'm calling this an impromptu episode, what I'm going to do today is to give you some ideas of ways that you can spice up your table topic session with different forms of impromptu speaking. There are many ways of having impromptu speaking. You don't have to do the standard thing of standing up and saying, Paul, tell me in 2 minutes what you think about XYZ or whatever your question happens to be. This is what most Toastmaster clubs do. I've been to one or two Toastmaster clubs who've done things very different, and some of them have been absolutely superb. But let's go through a few of the ideas that I have gleaned through my experience, as well as I have to admit that I did scour the internet today for other ideas, and there wasn't very much out there. When I put into the search engine things like alternatives to table topics, absolutely nothing came up. But anyway, let's look at the things that I have got ideas on. The first one, 1 minute of talking about anything other than the topic you have been given. So this is sort of a reversed table topic. But to succeed in this, you must not mention or have any connection with the topic. So the topic needs to have quite a lot of words in it to make sure that you're making it as hard as possible for the speaker to do it. So that's a possible idea. What do you think of that, Ted? Do you think that's a goer?
Well, while Ted is thinking, Moira, I think that could be a terrific challenge if you are not permitted to use the word that.
Well,
and
yes, that's another way of doing and another thing. But yes, I do like that. And yes, putting limitations on it does make it a lot more difficult. But that might come into something else that we'll talk about. So let's look at the second one. And I've seen this done a couple of times, and it does really work well. Make up a definition. Find some obscure words which no one is likely to know, or some foreign words, or just make up a word, and then ask the respondent for their definition. And then at the end, give them the correct definition if there is one. And that can be, if you've got people with good imagination, this can be really enjoyable. But it does challenge the invention of the individual.
That's a word.
Moira, could I say something on that,
sure.
please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I
ahead.
was speaking to a lady that I was introduced to the other night, and she had a funny way of saying things. Sometimes she was getting her words mixed up. Like she'd say thing wonderful instead of wonderful thing.
Uh-huh.
She used to get the words mixed up. It's not dyslexia, but I found myself slagging her because I said, I'm going to take you for slunch instead of lunch. And I said to her, what's your favorite recipe for slupper instead of supper? We were falling around the place with some of the things that were being said. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with table topics, but it could make a table topic.
Yeah.
That's malapropism.
Yes, it is sort of malapropism. It's sort of, yeah.
In other words, I have a funny say of weighing things.
Yes. Well, my great aunt used to say that the modern aeroplanes are great because they're pasteurized.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to my notes. Gush about something that you don't like. Right. So, Mary Jo, tell me something you really hate, you really dislike, and then say the reverse of how you really enjoy this thing that you don't like. Do you see? It can be quite a challenge if you're being honest and you do choose something you really don't like. Okay, let's skip on. I'm not expecting you to respond.
Oh, I was expecting her to respond. I was looking forward to this, Moira. I was saying the body language is completely wrong because she's got this big radiant smile on her face, thinking about what she doesn't like.
Yeah. Indeed. So let's come on. Now this I quite like. Make a commercial about something that you do like. So Ted, for example, you love golf. So give me a 2-minute commercial about golf.
Well, one of the things about golf is, number one, it's a fantastic pastime. You're out in the open. You needn't worry about COVID. There's no social distancing. In
Okay,
actual fact, the type of
I'm
golf-
gonna stop you there because we don't have time actually to go through it completely. Okay, now this is one that I've used as a warm up, but you can also use it as a table topic session, and that is round robin storytelling. You can do this in a number of ways. You can have one word per member, so you're only allowed to say one word. So Ted starts off with one word, then I go with a second word, and Paul goes with another word, and Mary Jo goes with, and so on. You go round and round and round. And you've got to make a story that makes sense. And you can get quite inventive in this. So you do it with one word per person, or 2 words per person, or 3 words per person. It's up to you. But if anyone makes a mistake and they give the wrong number of words, they drop out of the round, and you carry on until you decide to stop, basically.
Can I start this table topic? So
No, you can't. No, because, well, no, I want to get through my notes before we run out of time. Okay, another round robin story. This is a slight change to the one. You give this time, each person gives a sentence, a whole sentence. But then the next person has to start with yes and as the beginning of their, and they must do that. If they don't do that, they drop out. But you can get some strange stories, because the idea of that is really that you try to move the story away from the direction that the previous person was trying to take it. And you can get some very strange things once it comes back to the original person who started the story. Now, this one I've not seen and I've not tried, but it could be quite fun. You know that body language is a major part of communication. We all know this. It's depending upon who you're talking to. It could be anything from 30% up to 70% or even more. So for this table topic, you are asked to speak nonsense, but do it with very expressive body language so that the audience can actually have some idea of the sort of, you know, that, but you know what, and here, and do you see? Now, of course, you couldn't see me doing this because this is an audio podcast. But if you go onto YouTube, you could actually see. But it's all down to the body language. And it forces you to be very expressive with your body language and your facial features. So that's quite good. Another round robin you can do, and that's the non sequitur. So you start off, one person gives a sentence, and the next person has to give a sentence which has absolutely no relation to the previous sentence, and so on and so on and so on around the room. But it gets harder and harder because each person mustn't say anything that has to do with either or any of the previous people. So it gets harder and harder and harder as you go around the room. So that can be quite fun. Now, this is another one I've seen and it's been quite successful. You have 2 players for this, so you need 2 members. And one player has a problem. I have a problem, and they explain the problem. And the second person says, and here is a solution to your problem, and produces or uses a random object or a random thing. And the first person then has to say, great, I can then do something with the object which is going to come up with a solution to that original problem. Now, I've not tried that. It's a little bit awkward to do, but it's maybe worth a try. Truth or lies? This is more of a party game, I suppose, but each participant must tell a short story about themselves, and the more fantastic, the better, and then get the audience to guess if it was a true or a lie, a truth or a lie. And another 2-person exercise, and this I have seen done, and it was quite successful, and that was the interview. You give a person, a character from fact or fiction, preferably from fact, it's more fun that way. And one person, the other person is the interviewer, and the interviewer has to ask questions of that person. And of course, if the more people in the audience that actually know about this particular character, the better, because then you can start being a bit silly or a bit funny or a bit stupid about that person. Well, believe it or not, my timing is just coming up to about 20 seconds for my normal segment to finish. So before we close it then, let's have more suggestions from the floor. Have you folks any other things you'd like to add to?
Well, I'd love to give you the title for that table topic you were just talking about when you said believe it or not.
Yes.
Believe it or not. True or false?
True or false?
You did use the phrase believe it or not when you said you were 20 seconds from the end of the show.
This is very true. Yeah. Mary Jo, have you come across any of these slightly unusual table topic ideas?
I love them and took note of them. Actually, I will surely use one of them in the future. Another thing that I saw once, it would be very fast, but I did do it. Especially on Zoom, tell the person to hire the person to your right or the person to your left, or praise the person to your down of you, like something.
Yeah.
It's a nice exercise on Zoom as well.
Yeah, Paul, you got any thoughts on this dramatic subject? You're muted.
I have. My main thought is to compliment you on the number of suggestions, and I'll withhold adding to the list on grounds of charity to the listeners.
Okay.
On suggestions.
Yeah. On that charitable note, we'll bring this week's shows to a close. We've enjoyed your company, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. So from myself, Moira, from our wonderful guest, Mary Jo Shaheen, from Ted Malamphy, and from Paul Imani. Yeah. Bye until next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank Mary Jo. Thank you. You've been a great guest. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was very interesting.
Well done.
That's it.
Now, Mary Jo, what you will find is when you go to listen to it, either on Friday, tomorrow afternoon, to listen to the first segment, but when you listen to it Saturday and you hear your own contribution, you'll be saying, gosh, that was a great answer I gave. That was fantastic. You'll be punching the air. You'll be overwhelmed by yourself. Yes, well done.
Now, I have to say...
I will have removed all the as and
No, well,
Maura will doctor all that stuff now. That'll all be taken out, you see.
No, what I do have to say is that I do not tend to edit our guests, very much, because I feel that that is being a little bit... What's the word?
Well, honest.
Dishonest.
There wasn't a lot to edit.
Yeah, well, true.
With Mary Jo.
But with Ted, I have to do major edits.
Huge amount.
With Paul, I have to do a bundle of edits. And with me, I have to take out thousands of long pauses, as well as the ums and ers and you-knows and likes and ands. So, I tend to reduce our overall timing by about 5 or 6 minutes. And we're all guilty.
The word you were looking for, Moira, is probably, not certainly, disingenuous.
Disingenuous. Was I being disingenuous?
No, if you, without telling a guest that you're going to take things out of them, that is disingenuous.
I see. Okay.
Very useful word, should have been one of our words of the day. Some of our listeners, perhaps none of our listeners, wouldn't be used to using the word.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Is disingenuous used frequently in the Lebanon?
No, certainly not.
Now, what I would like to do, this recording will obviously be available in full on YouTube, and it can be watched there. But if you like, I'd be happy to cut your interview out and make that a separate video, so that you can then share just that video if you like, Mary Jo.
I don't mind. I will be sharing the podcast, so
Okay.
I don't mind if it's the video or the podcast. But I think the podcast will be enough for me to share with my fellow members.
Yeah,
Okay.
well done. That would be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
That's great.
That'd be
Mary-
lovely.
We didn't get a chance to ask about this. Just one little thing, because I haven't got much more time. But
Oh,
just
yeah, you're going to be a quarter there.
there are 3 other clubs in the Lebanon.
No, there's 5
Yes.
altogether now, isn't there?
We have 5 clubs, so
Okay, so how many of them are in Beirut?
4 of them are in Beirut.
Okay, outside Beirut, how many did you say there were in the Lebanon outside Beirut?
Just one. There's one in the north, not too far away.
Does that have you all got the same difficulty? Is it, do they have difficulty finding venues? Do they have difficulty with safety? Do they have,
Like right now, we're all like on Zoom. Usually, venue like the one in the north has a venue that is. I'm not sure if they pay for it. Actually, I don't have much information. I know that my home club, the first club I joined, Protos, has a bit of difficulties now because their usual venue is now really expensive. But I think they are coming up with some places. But now it's locked down again, so I guess that's like for later to consider. And yeah, in Beirut, I'm not sure about the Arabic club. The Arabic club had a center, I think, educational center they used to meet in. I'm not sure how it would be after the lockdown. And one of them is a university club. They meet at the university, so this one doesn't have difficulties.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
one of our clubs in Cork recently held a meeting with a club in India, a corporate club in India. So West Cork had a meeting with a corporate club in India. And if your club would ever like to hold a joint meeting with a club in Ireland, I can arrange that because we have 18 clubs in Cork, and I can think of at least 2 who would be very keen to hold joint meetings because I've had some discussions with them already.
That would be very interesting. I think most probably with the new term, like we have our elections soon, but with the new term, I think we will have new fresh blood in the club, and we will be very interested in joint meetings. So I will certainly reach out to you for that.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, we have 2 clubs that are holding joint meetings at present. One of them is, just in case the others are interested, West Cork and Cork. And also there's a joint meeting, but clubs within Cork, Blarney and Carrigaline have met. But I think the really very interesting one is, between India and West Cork. And there's a club in Cork that's going to meet with a club that is not in Westmeath next week, and it's Cork and Athy. Anyway, guys, look, I love you. I
Yep.
have to leave.
And I think we'll end the stream there. Thanks. If
So
you
it's wonderful of you to come to our contest on Sunday. Thank you very much for coming to the contest.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity.
Yeah,
was
well
a nice
done. Yeah, I spotted you there, Mary Jo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
all right, bye bye
Yeah,
YouTube.
bye.
See you soon.